right, Tuesday, the 14th of August. My goodness, we've almost lost another month. My. Russell's weak. Well, basically, everybody is weak except maybe the S&P. The S&P's down, and we're off and running. Let's give it some time. Let's get a good setup. I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. Hope you're having a fantastic month and a fantastic year. All right. Out of the chute, the Dow is looking weak. So is the S&P. We've got a sell signal in the Nasdaq. Don't buy it. The momentum oscillators are both towards the bottom half. -7. -5. And here comes our bounce. We'll just probably bounce around a little bit for the first couple of minutes. And the S&P over 2832 will probably try to go to 33 something, but that's pretty tight range here. Russell, we're at the primary pivot, doing a little bit of a bounce on the Nasdaq. Sorry, the Dow, not the Nasdaq. And goes the S&P pushing to the opening high. And there we go. And we're going to run into a whole lot of congestion up here at 33.5. The Nasdaq will run into a lot of congestion around 44 to 45. We're not getting much of anything in the Dow, definitely not in the Russell. The Russell's really looking bad. Except for a short, I'm probably not even going to be looking at the Russell today. There goes the S&P. Try to recover some of the stuff from the export-import prices. And we're back basically to where we were before the report. The markets really are very resilient. They seem to be really shaking off a lot of the news and a lot of the extraneous stuff that's happening out there. Now, we ran into the prior swing level, tagged it at 83.4. And looks like it's trying to battle its way through there in the S&P. Dow still in down mode. Won't even look at the Russell here. Got a buy signal on the S&P up here, and I guess the next level up would be 28.37. But you got to get there first. Rally in the Russell. Nothing doing in the Dow. And Nasdaq, the momentum oscillators and everything are pointing in the right direction. We still have a lot of overhead resistance. And all those swings are so close together, they're only about, 10 ticks apart. $16 maybe. All right, the Nasdaq's rolling over. The Dow is. The S&P's pulling back pretty hard. Well, I say pretty hard. It's pulling back significantly, really. That's probably the black boxes at work there. And running the shorts out of town. Let's see if it can get. It's got to get over 34.5 before it really gets going. All right, we've got a zigzag kind of forming in the NASDAQ, but S&P's coming back. Dow just looks bad. There must be some component within the Dow that's not doing well today, and I don't want to go look over there and try to find out. It's not really worth it, but something's holding it back. One or two stocks, and it's probably not Home Depot. Okay, NASDAQ is coming back down to the 5-minute. We did have that short over here that I didn't take, and I still won't take. Doesn't mean that this one won't work. But we're basically coming down to where we could be getting into a double bottom area. A lot of the pros will see this happening and they will go ahead and buy it with their stop just below it. So what they would do is they are looking for this to bottom. So they're hoping that they'll get a bit of a rally. Well, looks like they're going to get stopped out when it rolls over on them. Maybe. Now, my oscillators still say they have room to go, but not a lot. And as far as what's over to the left, we've got the primary pivot down below us. That's probably where it's headed to. And there comes the S&P back. And there's the primary pivot. It touched the primary pivot and bounced. And all those people who got short are now starting to take some heat. The CPT short is just about ready to get stopped out for a push at 33.25. Let's be patient and see what happens. What I've got, I'm looking over here. What I did on off screen, I'm watching all this over here at zoomed out. You can't do that if I'm going to have you zoomed into quarter panels. So if you guys are going to try to trade, you need to be looking as well. Okay, looks like a long on the NASDAQ there. Probably wants to head up to 44.5. Would like to see, we're at a kind of a mini swing level here at 37.38. Probably could have taken that one based upon where we've got here with the momentum indicators, but we'd love to get a zigzag, but we're not going to get it, are we? Russell just gave a long signal, probably going up to 1686. See what that's going to do. Yeah. And there was a double top overnight at that level up there at 1686 half. Dow's going nowhere. And there comes the pullback in the NASDAQ. That's what we thought, the zigzag. If that never even got to money management, oh yes it did, but it's just being, it's just been stopped out for about a 5-point loss. Okay, and we're about 9 minutes into the market. Yesterday, it was about 10 o'clock to 10:30 before we really got any real motion. We were just bouncing around. Yeah, David, I think you're. I think they're trying to get people in the chop like I did yesterday. So I refuse to be. I refuse to be bait 2 days in a row. You and I were about to say the same thing at the same time. I'm just saying they're just trying to do this trading range and then some. And the Nasdaq is in a decline. You see that it's a very very slow decline there, and we just got a another short, but I don't like the setups for the momentums. You got to go down to 25. 74.25. I just don't see it. Now, the Dow is in an established downtrend. The Russell is in an established uptrend. The Dow oscillators are okay. Yep. Kind of every other day of rotation. We're coming up on the overnight highs of 86.8, 1686.8. See what happens when it gets there. This setup here in the Russell long wasn't half bad. It was right here with 84 to 86 to 20. That's 20 or so ticks. So, and we had the trend up and the oscillators both up. So I need to not be so ingrained against something that I pass up a possible trade. That Russell trade hit target 1. Its trailing stop is now above break even. It looks like we're coming back down to that double bottom again, trying to for the NASDAQ. We're kind of forming a wedge here on the S&P here, like that, if you'll give that to me. Dow trying to do a double bottom there. Getting a rally off of this S&P now. Russell trying to break through that overnight high level right now. It's poked its nose on the other side. Got another long signal in the NASDAQ, but man, I'm sorry if I can't see that. Next level would be 74.41. The reason you got that long signal is that it tried to go lower and couldn't, but that's not good enough for me. And looks like the Russell just about tagged target 2, and that stop did not move up at all. If I were in this thing, I would be probably up a little higher. Yeah, looks like we're rolling over in the NASDAQ a little bit. If you hear any noise in the background, it's Tuesday. Tuesday is lawn guy next door, and right outside my window is where the 2 yards meet, and they come over our side a bit. There comes the NASDAQ back down. This is in chop. You can just see it. We get a long, get a short, get a long, get a short. I mean, just no. I'm just happy to be sitting here on the sidelines. Seeing the big picture is probably the best. I sometimes have trouble when I'm looking down at it, and I'm sure a lot of people do. Will that S&P try to break out over 2835? I do not know. That would be a key level. And the NASDAQ now gives us another short. Not. No way. We're smarter than that, right? And Russell's tried to hold up here at the top. Yeah, the momentum oscillators still have room to run upwards. And you can see here where the volatility stop has to stop up at 85, and the counterpunch trader systems left it down at 84.4. If I were in that trade, I'd have a higher stop. But all right, getting a little bit of Dow action here. Let's show you the NASDAQ. We're looking back to attacking to the highs in the S&P. See how we've got our swing levels? Tap, 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 tap. This is going to be kind of tough going to the long side in the NASDAQ. And let's see what this S&P is doing. Above this, we've got another tap, 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 tap. It's going to have trouble getting be a very, very long run unless it blows through all of those. Those are overnight levels, though. They're not regular trading hour levels, so they'll probably. All right, then Russell is still continuing its march up. We had this three candle pattern and continuation here. Dow's having trouble with the high, the regular trading hours. NASDAQ is pulling back again. And the R squeeze on the NASDAQ looks like it has room. Not going short there, though. Well, I can guarantee something will happen if I step aside for a couple of minutes. And the Russell's still doing its thing. And that continuation pattern right there, three candle pattern. Usually it means that this first run and the second run would be about equal to it. Conventional wisdom says that. Good morning, Chris. You hadn't missed a whole lot yet, Chris. Okay, we've got a reiteration of the buy above up there at 28.35 in the S&P. Is the S&P going to lead us today? I like the momentum oscillators indicators here. Those are both looking pretty strong in the S&P. The Russell hit target 2 and is getting within a stone's throw of target 3. Target 3 is 46 ticks. Not too shabby. Neither one of those those indicators are still showing the stop way back down behind. All right, looks like we're trying to pull back for those highs. It's not ready yet. Here comes the NASDAQ down to primary pivot for the third time. This one will probably break through it. There it goes. Now, will we get any follow-through to the downside? I am not sure. Third time probably, yep. Well, that CPT short is working. It is at target 1 now. Probably looking for some sort of bounce. Yeah, we have some congestion over to the left, but not a lot in the Nasdaq. Coming back pretty hard here on the S&P, guys. The only way we could have gotten short with this Nasdaq is to basically have said third time down at the same level, we're probably going to break down. But it's not what I would say a high probability trade pattern. Could be. Approaching target 2. It hit target 2 in the Nasdaq short. Target 3 is all the way down at 09.5. All right, I'm getting a little bit of a bounce here. The S&P just coming down to a support level, bouncing again. The other way to have played this puppy is to use this 74.35 as the stop instead of 40. You've been long a little later than they were. Yeah. Russell's pulling back pretty hard. The S&P is trying to break through primary pivot. Russell's doing 100% retrace of the last move up. We're trying to. And this primary pivot level we've been down now for, I guess, if you can call it the third time, if we got right there and then right here. And the Nasdaq is still trying to crunch lower. Doing a high wave doji in the Nasdaq right now. Nasdaq short just hit target 3. Which is right about where we had support off to the left. Doing a little bit of a bounce in the S&P, maybe in the Russell. Let's see where we had that. Yep. It's actually right there. Didn't quite reach it, but got close. Oh, shut up. I wonder if these guys really think I'm going to pick up if they don't give me their call, their caller ID. I'm not that dumb. Well, since I'm flat, it's kind of hard to be that one there, Frank, but that's a funny one. Oh, I shouldn't have the Nasdaq zoomed in like that. So we could see the S&P doing a bounce. S&P right now is basically doing this trading range from 28.30 to 35. Well, we're back into chop again in the S&P, back into chop in the Russell, doing the same in the Dow, just kind of flopping around as the bottom fisher here. And the Nasdaq's trying to get up off the bottom. Now, Frank, the margin call that I would dread is the one where they come knocking on the door. And Nasdaq's looking awfully weak. Amazing. Just nothing happening there. Nasdaq's trying to come up off the bottom. S&P's doing the same. Still in chop. Look at the. Yeah, the house that belongs to the bank. It's funny how they say, "Do you own your own home?" If you have to fill out some sort of form, and most people answer yes, even though they have a mortgage that's probably a significant chunk of that. So the amount of equity you have in that is pretty small. When do you say you really own your home? When it's paid outright, or down to a small amount of the value. All right, still biding our time, like I should have done yesterday. We did have one possible trade in the Russell, and we had one possible trade in the NASDAQ. Other than that, NASDAQ was maybe set up. The Russell was okay. I basically talked myself out of it because the Russell trade was right over here where the green cross formed, and the momentums were in our favor, and we had decent enough room to the upside. Once bitten, twice shy. There's a swing levels about ready to be broken here in the Russell. Not sure. Yeah, possibly. Reverse to the upside or downside? NASDAQ's giving another short signal here. Not sure the momentums are really in their favor, to be honest with you. Right, and now we've got the indicators over here to the right that are actually labeled. Get an indication of the and look at this consolidation going on in the Russell. Really tight range here. So going to try to break out to the upside again? Maybe. NASDAQ's trying to climb out of the pit that it dug itself, the hole. The pit of misery. Okay, third time coming down to this 74.10 level. Will it break through it? Didn't even get down there. Russell's trying to inch its way up. S&P and chop. NASDAQ is and the Dow are pretty similar in that they're just dragging their bellies on the bottom of the lake. Coming back down to 74.10 for the third time. Should break through. Now, does it get any follow through to the downside is the question. There goes the S&P down as well. No, that doesn't bode well. already hit target 1 in the NASDAQ. Yep. And it broke that low that we had way over to the left from yesterday. And approaching target 2 on that short. It hit target 2. Now coming towards target 3. The stop is break even plus, so it's a free trade. And the S&P came down to a level that we marked earlier. And it's from yesterday, no, night before last. $28.27. Wow. Funny how these stocks have memories. Russell, the contrarian, like you said, looks like it wants to go to 1687, maybe. And then above that, it's 88 and a half. At 86.8 or so also matches the pre-market highs where we got. So all of this right in here is congestion. And that NASDAQ short got stopped out for a few ticks plus target 1. Kind of hard to go short over here when it went down the third time. Well, the momentum oscillator there is not all that great, but the R squeeze wasn't so bad. Not bad. Okay. I'm going to post up a document that I'm going to find first. $5. We're just we're going nowhere. So there it is. All right. If you look at that, that's the basic. All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Um, that's what. That's the document there. Post trade analysis. It's basically a after action report, debriefing. Basically, say there's a video of a fighter pilot giving a talk or presentation in a little rally in the Nasdaq. What happened? What went right? What went wrong? Why? And lessons learned. See, basically, and I've added the bits to the right. So take a look over there in the pilot's after action review type of stuff. I think you'll find it very useful. If you apply that to every one of your trades, at least to a small degree, it doesn't have to be, you know, that extensive. But what you do is you mentally go through every one of them. Good morning, Rick. How you doing? We've had nary a trade yet today. There were a couple. Russell's coming back up to the high of the day again. So the weakest become the strongest today. Yep. Still no buy signal there. Potentially we could get a buy on the Nasdaq over 21.5 over this level here. And for those of you who are just visiting here, if you want to find out a little bit about what we do and to potentially even sign up, follow that link. It'll basically tell you that a little bit about who I am, what is we're looking to do here on a regular basis, how we're going to go about making money. I am going to make a presentation tomorrow okay, great, Rick, thank you. I'll be making a presentation tomorrow at 2 p.m. It will be recorded. And we're trying to grind higher to the high of the day for the Russell. Looking pretty good. Momentum oscillators are both looking pretty good, but no buy signal there. Probably want to go to get up to there and do a zigzag. The Nasdaq is up at its swing level just below the primary pivot. It gave a long signal, but it was well after price had passed. Dow gave a long signal, but I don't like the setup, to be honest with you. And the Russell tried to poke its nose above the high of the day. New day high. Are we going to get a little follow through on this breakout? S&P is just kind of chop. Dow is chop. NASDAQ's trying to follow its Russell Powell. I suspect with the fact that we got a weak market that the Russell will not follow through very easily, if at all. And this is the bane of the futures trader's existence. Because we're not scalping every few pennies, every few ticks. We should be, most of the time, standing by waiting for an entry. And that's what we're doing. We're looking at about 10:17 Eastern Time. The NASDAQ is having trouble with that upper level around 74.21 to 22. See if it does a continuation pattern there. Or not. And the S&P, there's the Russell. Unless we flip around here, we won't be a continuation pattern of the NASDAQ. Over 21.5, it could be a long. Problem is, you got the primary pivot above and some, which is not as much of a problem as that is the lows of these areas over here acting as resistance. Yeah, it looks like it's failing. The old zigzag pattern happening. Up, back, and hopefully up. Zigzag could also be called a J-hook, but it doesn't, on the small time frames like this, it doesn't look as much like a J. You have to use your imagination. Is the Russell putting in a bottom or there? I don't know on that pullback. All right. We're going to get ourselves, no, we won't get another buy signal because it's still in this one right here that it didn't trigger. So,
order pending.
all right. The momentum oscillators are both pointing up. Trend is pointing up. We got maybe up to about 14
Order filled.
here. And up, we got another buy signal there. Okay. Let's see what happens there. See if we can actually get a winner here. Okay. Well, we got to 1020. Let's see what we can do here. It looks like it's battling this area. I'm looking for it to get up to that 74.25 area and take my first bid off the table. We do have the trend is going up, the oscillator is going up, and the R squeeze still has some ways to go. The R squeeze is getting a little on the high side, so it's probably the one that's going to get us because that's the shorter term time frame. See if we can get some follow through here. We need it. We need it. We need it. The Russell continued its move upwards. That was the long today. You son of a gun.
Order filled.
All right. I'm out of that one. Probably right at the low, right? Oh, I didn't zoom in on it. I'm sorry. I got out right here because it pulled back to the prior resistance point. I probably didn't give it enough room, but it just doesn't look very good on the R squeeze. Looks like it's rolling over. S&P trying to come back towards the upper half of the range today. And with the NASDAQ here, with this momentum oscillators pointing upwards, it'll probably go higher, but you may end up getting a really, really deep drawdown before that happens. So you'll see. That the R squeeze is still fairly extended, but it can stay there for a while. Probably don't want to be buying breakouts in a market that doesn't have this much trouble following through. And the fact that the NASDAQ was right below the primary pivot, that probably didn't help me any. And looks like it's done somewhat of a continuation pattern here, but there's not much before that to be called a continuation pattern. It's the setup, but the context is not right. I guess one could make a case it came up from 14 to about 23. S&P coming back towards the high of the day. Not at it yet. Yep. Well, I'm not sure it was the primary pivot there, RJ. We look over here to the left, the primary pivot, and these bottoms over here are at the same. I would contend that it's the price over here at the bottom, that swing level that stopped it. And I knew that before I got in. And I was expecting a bit of better follow through given the momentums, but I probably just got to stop a little bit too tight. We'll see. If it pulls way back down here and dips under, I'll be vindicated for getting out. If it breaks up above the primary pivot and goes up a little bit higher, I'm going to kick myself in the backside. But just have to learn and say, do a debriefing. What happened and why? What could I have done better? In this case, I probably should have just passed on it. Either that or enter earlier. Right here during the middle of the that J hook there. Right in there might have been the entry. Then could we have a stop that was close and keep moving it up? Russell just hanging around the R1 at the moment. S&P, it's going back towards that high of the day. Okay. And it happens to correspond with basically the prior levels and a primary pivot. So, they're all self-fulfilling prophecies when all of them line up. Now I'm kicking myself in the backside. It's not even made, well, it would have made my target one. My target one was right there about 25 3/4, 26. Dirty words. Yep. Dow's starting to move up a little bit. S&P right back at the high of the day. If that S&P goes up, I would think the NASDAQ explodes too. Will it follow through? And we're up to high of the day there. There, I say explode, but then it's got overhead resistance at 36, and every few points above. Gonna be tough. Russell's pulling back. Looks like the S&P's trying to pull back. It just can't go higher. The momentum's and the S&P are pointing upwards. So the bias ought to be to the upside. I am going to look at the big picture of the S&P's up about 9. NASDAQ up about 7, basically flat. Russell's up almost 13. It looks like it wants to curl up. And the Dow's at plus 45, which is absolutely nothing. Well, the momentum oscillator is winning out on the NASDAQ. Just barely. That slope there is pretty flat. Pretty flat here in the S&P as well. All right. CPT has the stop up at here, 2075. Volatility is way down here at 17.5. When I stopped myself out at 18 and a quarter, I got myself spooked. I should have waited and moved it to the volatility stop. Now that's 2020 hindsight, but don't get spooked. The market has absolutely no idea what you did with the trade before, the day before, the week before. They don't care.
This is your Publix pharmacy, located at Castleberry Commons. A member of your household has...
All right. Grinding higher in the NASDAQ. Grinding higher in the Russell. We're still trying to attack the highs in the S&P. All right, we got a new buy signal right here in the Russell. I missed it. It is extended though. Now the NASDAQ's up at resistance levels big time. So we'll see. Guess what you could call me is one of the weak hands today. Dow's going higher, approaching the 5-minute opening range. S&P looks like it's poking its nose up. Frank, because I'm not trading it, I'm just trying to get a big picture. I do not trade the S&P. It's $12.50 a tick. And I can't control risk as well. So I use the other three indices, the NASDAQ, Dow, and Russell, and crude oil. Now, crude oil is $10 a tick. We trade that usually on Wednesday at the inventory report. So this is poked its head up to the next swing level and see if it gets to the next one, the next one, and the next one. The momentum oscillator and the R squeeze are both up. Did I answer your question there, Frank? It's just a monitoring. I've not been able to see any really good Renko settings for it. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention. No, I would not use 610. Well, since I'm not going to enter right here, let me show you. Or 1014. It doesn't have enough data. All right, let me give it more data. Okay, the problem with trying to use a Renko, it will be able to set it. That's 12. Let me take it to the 10. You can see where it's basically in chop. And now this is the yesterday and the overnights. The problem with these is that let's just say that you're trying to go short the Dow, the NASDAQ, whatever we want. The S&P yesterday. I'm not going to look at right now. Although, well, let's just look at right now. It's looking at a 47 tick stop. And if you used one at 12.5, you're looking at somewhere around $550 to $600 per contract as a stop. That exceeds where I want to be with a small account. Again, we're trading with a small account and small account size because that's the goal. We're trying to show that you can make money, and the stops are way too wide. Okay, now if I zoom in a little closer, the stops will get a little closer, but we'll have too many false signals. So potentially, you'd probably use something like a 3-minute chart or something like that, and this is still going to have huge stops. Like this one right here was 27 ticks, times 12.5. And the other problem, and it's going to be covered in depth tomorrow, but I'll go ahead and steal some of my own thunder, is that the well, if you think that trading the futures is like swimming with the sharks, if you then trade the S&P futures that has the black boxes and the large institutions and whatever, you're talking about the sharks, the barracuda, the piranha, and the killer whales all in one tank together with you. I just don't see it as a winning. I don't have an edge there. They do. And I can't control the risk, so I have other alternatives. The NASDAQ does tend to move. NASDAQ, I am going to really be kicking myself later. It hit a full target 3 for 66 ticks. Target 1 was hit at 31. Now, I would never have been in for 31, and I probably would have been in. Right now, if you look over here in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see where I'm in. I'm in 10 ticks and reversal period of 14. Do you have NinjaTrader, Frank? I'm using the Unirenko, by the way. If I remember right, you were TradeStation, was that right? I think I asked this question before, and I'm sorry if I can't remember. The Russell did a pullback right to the prior resistance level and started back up. S&P near the highs of the day, still hanging in there. Dow is the laggard. Russell is leading the way. NASDAQ is close to the highs of the day. That may have been our 10:30 to 11 o'clock rally. Now we can see over here in the NASDAQ trade that the CPT system came up with. It's still trailing that because, my experience, my observation is that target 3 is usually about the best you're going to get on about 85% of the time. especially when they're up at a resistance level. However, maybe 10 to 15% of the time you get a super runner. And this one might be getting to be one of those because everybody was short. And so that's why you like to take 2 contracts versus 1. So you can take one early and trail out the last one, hoping to get yourself maybe a 60 or 70 tick runner. Now, the fact that the normal target 3 was 66 already, what are you looking for, 100? S&P new day high. New day high in the, well, not quite a new day high in the NASDAQ. Near the open, we got up here at 45. So we're attacking the highs of the day. Hope that answered your question, Frank. I didn't get a response, so I'll assume that I did. Getting another buy signal on the Russell. Ha. Mr. Grinder. The Russell could be heading back up to 1698 half. It is above 92. Now we're heading to 98. At least that's what I'm seeing on a 60-minute chart. May not do it in a straight line. Coming up on 1048. And the ES is coming up towards R1. NASDAQ has a ways to go before it gets R1. Big time. S&P still grinding higher. This momentum is pointing upwards, and so is the R squeeze. The R squeeze is not exorbitantly high at 5. Nor is the momentum oscillator at 1.5. NASDAQ still grinding higher. New day high in the NASDAQ. I I am going to stick my neck out, and not my money, but my neck, that I believe that this will come back and touch the stop below target 3. That stop will not go up, although it just went up to just below it. I believe it'll get stopped out, and you would have been better off to take target 3. We'll see. That stop will not go up according to the CPT system unless we go get another green candle or two. Stops at 74.39.75. The reason I brought that up is that what I'd said earlier is that if you get target 3, that's probably 85 to 90% of the time that's the best you're going to get. Only the smaller periods of time we get higher than that. And then if you miss out on that one, it usually comes and stops out between target 2 and 3. Right now it's probably 50-50. Russell, new day high. S&P, new day high approaching R1. The Dow's approaching the high of the day. We had a green candle, and I'm proven wrong. The stop got moved up to target 3 in the NASDAQ. So we're going to have some decent pullbacks before I could get long in any of this or get short either. It's unlikely for me to have another trade today, this morning. New day high in the NASDAQ. New day high in the S&P. Go, go, go. Russell new day high. And probably the same in the Dow. All right, have a great one there, Chris. And the S&P's over R1. Kind of get extended a little bit more. Nasdaq's pulling back, S&P pulling back, Dow pulling back, Russell pulling back. I was just looking at the Russell on a bigger picture. We had, okay, let's look at it right here. Kind of debriefing here. This was at about 9:38. There was an entry right here above this swing level. This short right here could have faked us out. There was a break here that wasn't given by the counterpunch trader system, but this one right here, that makes at least 2, and this one right here is 3. And even if you took the other one, you'd have one loser, 3 winners. No, JT, there's no audio to be had at the moment. I'm just waiting for something to set up. Right now, it's hurry up and wait time, and I just didn't want you guys to hear all the stuff in the background. I do apologize. I think I said it once. I probably should have reiterated that. You can always tell if somebody's modulating. If you look up at the name, no problem, John. There's a little icon, looks like a little head. Next to it, you'll see the sound icon vibrating out if I'm talking. If nobody's talking, it'll be silent. But yes, you're right. It's very, very difficult to determine whether somebody is talking or not. But there's not much to say. There are no entries at this level, really. I mean, I guess we're getting a new buy signal here on the Russell, but I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to go long up here after it's already had that big run. Doesn't mean that it won't work. Just means that it's not a high probability trade. There is one here in the NASDAQ. It also is not a high probability trade. We're going to have to get a pullback before it can then go back up or roll over and get a short. All right, I'm going to go silent for a bit. All right, let's look at that NASDAQ long that was right over here. Went up, 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 up. It stopped out quite a bit above target 3. So this was an unusual run. The one I stopped myself out for a $170 loss that should have been a full winner. I am kicking myself all the way up and down the street. I let myself get shaken out. Darn, darn, darn. What I did is I anticipated the move down to the volatility stop. What did is I basically stopped myself out, moving the stop up, and moved it beyond the volatility stop. It wasn't intentional. It just that I wasn't clicking it. But it is what it is. Was I take a snatching defeat from the jaws of victory? The NASDAQ looks like it's leveling off here. You can see where the momentum is rolling flatter. Same thing on the S&P and the Russell. The Dow's not so much. The other thing that happens quicker is that the R squeeze, yes, in fact, JT, I've got a presentation tomorrow afternoon. I think it's in the announcements. Tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. on Trading the Futures. It includes all my favorite charts. It'll include all the setups that I have. It will be recorded in case you're not here. It was I was asked to push it off till the 15th of August. I wanted to do it earlier, but yes, there. Hey, if you guys have questions or comments or you need for me to talk about certain things, I'm more than happy to do that. I do record the morning sessions that I'm out here. This one's going to be pretty darn boring, but I record the whole thing and I put it out on the YouTube website. Let me go ahead and put that out now. In the interim, that does a little bit of an idea about, it's the sales page really, but it tells you a little bit about who I am and what I'm trying to do. But the presentation, it's going to do a much better job. One of the things we're going to go into, my favorite chart patterns, what I'm trying to look at, and I'll go into great detail and talk about, entries, stops, targets, bullish continuation move. I talked a little bit about that today a couple of times. This is a bearish or inverted zigzag or J-hook. I'll talk about targets and whatever. And stops, and in the bearish drop out of the box and the bearish continuation move. There's basically 3 patterns, and you do a bearish and a bullish case for each. Now, I did talk a little bit about 3 times down at, let's go to the NASDAQ here. We did, punching down here at the lows. That's overnight. This is okay. We went down once. We went down twice. And we went down the 3rd time here. And usually, the 3rd time down on the time frames that we're using, they'll go ahead and down or up. It usually breaks. But that's not a classic pattern. What I'm still looking for is the trend to change. I'm looking at the momentum oscillator and the R squeeze. The R squeeze is faster than the momentum oscillator. So, still looking for those same entries or whatever. Yeah, we're looking like we're just, you notice how we're doing kind of equal highs here and almost equal lows. I guess what I could do is, instead of just sitting here with nothing going on, I could try to tell you a certain thing, but basically short of giving you the presentation tomorrow. This is basically what we basically have a rising wedge. Now, the R squeeze, which is really a Bollinger Band squeeze, and I don't need to have the Bollinger Bands up there. It's going to be way, 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 way too busy. But basically, it's looking for a move here and then a breakout. Now, can you get a breakout from all the way up here? I guess you can. It would really be nice if this momentum indicator got close to the zero line. The ideal situation is when you're coming from below zero to above zero, and that this R squeeze, which will run first, is not too far extended. The only problem that we've got right in here is that was right there at a swing level, and you had all this over to the left. Now let me do a box. And that's where I would have expected some sort of price reaction. Did we get a little bit of a price reaction? Yes, it just went very, very slowly. And there was one right around in here. That is the bullish continuation move. And that bullish continuation move was off of here, that level up to, say, right up to there. You would expect that distance and this distance to be equal. That's called a measured move. We're going to cover that in detail tomorrow. I know a lot of people may not be able to attend tomorrow afternoon, so we are going to record it. We'll post it out there to YouTube. Let me get the YouTube channel posted up. There's my YouTube channel there, John, and everybody else. You can find out what we've done. The dog days of August. Looks like NASDAQ is pulling back. It's broken down through a level. The S&P's pulling back now. So is the Russell. And here's where you want it to break through a level. You want it to bounce back up and come back down the second time. So the level we're looking at is right here. There's also another level roughly right about here at 39. And it is reacting off of that 7440 level. The R squeeze is coming from positive to negative, and the momentum oscillator is pointing down. Where could we drop to? Initially probably 37, and then potentially all the way down to the primary pivot. That bounce is probably getting a little bit long, a bit too high for a short. The weakest one we've had out there has been the Dow. And don't know why I didn't think of it, but well, I know why I thought I didn't think of it. We could have taken a peek at the crude oil. And where's my Dow chart? And the Dow does not look like a short. And you're talking about, let me get it, cartoons, crayons. You talking about this area right in here, shaded between the two, and it's not a Ichimoku cloud. Okay. That basically is a visual indication that you're in an uptrend, and when it's red, visual indication you're in a downtrend. What you get is, this is a 20 SMA, that's the 9 volume weighted moving average. And yeah, it's, I think it's pretty nice. It helps visualize what it is. You don't need them, but it helps. It helps keep you on the right side of the trade. Yeah, Russell looks like it's breaking out again. Or at least trying to. NASDAQ's no longer short here. Not even close. Now, right in here, we're in chop. When I see these squeeze together, or I see blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, that tells me it's chopped. Stay away. We have been at R1 level on the S&P for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Over half an hour. Something has to give. The markets do not like to stay at one level forever. Let me take you over here, the NASDAQ, to a 610. If we're not, this is basically a zoomed in view of the world of the NASDAQ. And you can see how all these swing levels are all right on top of one another. They're not far enough apart really to trade. So you really can't trade that time frame. I call it time frame, but it's not time based, it's trade based. You have to trade the upper level, and you have to give it room. And that's what I did not do. Yeah, I'll JT, one of the things that I am offering is that I'll offer to work with everybody for about an hour free to help them get their system set up. I'm familiar with NinjaTrader, obviously, with Thinkorswim very well. I can give you basically a setup that all you have to do is copy. And then TradeStation. Now, the TradeStation, I've got a problem that I'm working with the TradeStation guys. They're not. There's something wrong with an incompatibility. They're just not. I'm not able to upload third-party add-ins into that. Now, what system, or do you have a system you're trading in at the moment, or are you looking for one? That's another thing I've covered out there. Brokers. I've done a quick. Oh, Ninja. Yeah. Well, are you a NinjaTrader 7 or 8, sir? Good. Well, I can help set you up for the vast majority of this. The one thing that I'm not able to do because it's proprietary and I own it is that might be worth the price of admission for a whole year, huh? The momentum oscillator. It's a proprietary indicator from NetPicks. They don't sell it individually. Unfortunately. They had one free for NinjaTrader 7, but they chose not to release it for NinjaTrader 8, do the conversion. They have at NetPicks. It's a pretty good system. Don't necessarily need it once you learn how to trade, and a lot of the trading is based upon this. But it's a breakout system, and as you can tell, if you're in kind of choppiness, breakouts don't work that well. And usually the time frames we're looking at really small. They'll work most of the time, even on choppy days, because the markets are going to go up and down. So, yeah, and if you guys, if you have any information that you want, you're doing the right thing, JT, by asking questions. Because one, I've already started on that. I'm going to cover my settings. Nasdaq is busting through well, he's trying to. I was on the wrong time frame. It's still chopping. But if you, some of the all right, okay, it's 11:30. We're probably not going to see much of anything for the rest of the morning, maybe around 1:30 to 2 o'clock. I need to take my system down. I've got to do some maintenance on this, so you guys are going to unfortunately not be able to see my screen, and I may come back in the afternoon, but I can't count on it. So we open up at 9:15 in the morning and trade to about 11, maybe even 11:15 or 30. I want to thank everybody for showing up here tomorrow afternoon. If you can make it and be live, fine, great, and you can ask questions live. I appreciate anybody who can come there and ask questions. If not, it is recorded. And some of the questions that have been posted out here today, I am definitely going to cover. You guys have a wonderful day.